So I don't know if you've heard about this or not. But Andrew Wiggins, who is not vaccinated and doesn't plan on getting vaccinated, may be at risk of missing most of the season this year because you have to be vaccinated to play the home games in California, do things in California. And he plays for the Golden State Warriors in California.
I've seen that as far as things like that going to be coming up as an issue for some people. So that's the rule for California. So that means that's going to be a problem for LeBron also, because LeBron isn't vaccinated.
Mm.
So it's going to be that I have seen over the past maybe month or so about things like that coming up. So
Right.
it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out because a couple weeks ago the NBA put out a statement. I don't know if they put out a statement or whatever. They put out saying that they weren't going to force people to get vaccinated, force players to get vaccinated.
Right.
So it's going to be interesting to see like how it affects people in certain states because I think like New York is having some rules like that too. Of course, like where's the Raptors? Where are the Raptors playing this year?
That's a good question.
Are they in Tampa again?
Yeah, so, I don't know. I haven't really heard anything about that, but that's a good question.
So even though we're back to normal length of the regular season, this season is still going to be just slightly just as weird as last year's. Honestly, I don't think it's going to be that big of a difference as far as some of the COVID things because it's still not figured out yet.
No,
so we'll see.
Yeah. And with that being said, I'm John W.
It's Fresh Egg.
It's the Hoopers Morning Run. So, of course, it's about that time of the year again. So, of course, everybody's going to start pumping out their top 100 list. Shout out to Breaking the Game on the Off Ball Network, who've been doing their continuing series of their top 100 players. That's the only one I care about. But Sports Illustrated
just shout out Steven and Kenneth over there Breaking the Game.
Shout out to Kenneth as well. He just made the top 10 for football profiles on Twitter.
That's fire.
He coming for your Tim Calishaw. He coming for that number 5 spot. I know you watch us. I know you hear me. So watch your back, y'all. But shout out to Canada Kenny.
That's what's up, though. For sure.
But like I say, Sports Illustrated put out their top 10. I can run it down to you real quick. And I think it's an interesting top 10. I'm pretty sure nobody agrees with it already, of course, because that's how these things happen when these lists come out. Right. Even though everybody decides to make their own list, they still don't agree with these lists. And of course, I know while I'm putting the list up, one of the big things when the list first came out, Melo didn't make it. And
that's not surprising that he's been dropping every year anyway.
So of course, I think it was Ashley Nicole Moss. She put out a video about how players like Tyrese Halliburton, Jonathan Isaac, and Larry Nance aren't better than Carmelo. And of course, there was a big discourse about it, about maybe they are, maybe they aren't. I'm not asking you to put Carmelo on the top 100 list, but do you think that he could have snuck in there somewhere? Like Jordan Clarkson was at number 100, and he just won 6 man that year. So do you think there was some space for Melo on there?
Right, yeah, it definitely is because they try to fight the line of what someone's potentially going to do this year instead of you got to kind of go more so off last year's too, and not just what you expect someone to do. So Melo could have made the list, but I'm not surprised that he did make the list. And the fact that Jordan Clarkson is number 100 is kind of a bit wild. I'm not saying he's top 50, but he's number 100. That doesn't make sense.
Nah,
he's only going to go up, honestly. I mean, he's in a good situation. Utah's going to be good again. He's not like an older player. He just won his first 6 man of the year. Like he's going to be in a good position to go back to back 6 man of the year. So
yeah,
number 100 is kind of low.
And then another one, it was Westbrook was at 33, Shea was at 30. I thought that was a little
surprised Westbrook was that high. How they treat older players.
That is also true.
Yeah, and but he could have been higher, honestly. And Shea already as a top 30 player. I'm not mad at it, but I don't really know. I think Shea is talented. I'm not as high on Shea as some other people, and I say that because some people think he's going to be like, he's this franchise cornerstone point guard. I don't think he's that. I think he's an all-star, but some people think he could be like the best point guard in the league. I'm not that guy.
No, that's fair. So for the Sports Illustrated top 10, we got Kawhi at number 10, Anthony Davis at number 9, Joel Embiid at number 8, James Harden at number 7, Luka Doncic at number 6, Nikola Jokic at number 5, Steph at number 4, Stephen Curry, number 3, LeBron, number 2, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and number 1, Kevin Durant.
Not surprised Giannis went back up, especially after winning his first championship. Surprised they didn't put him number one because this was made for him to be number one. I'm guessing Kawhi is 10 because of
the injury.
Yeah. The list, as I always just think about these lists, it's always, like I said, it's hype from some things that ended last year and coming into this year, and then just based off of potential. Because, while I do think Giannis is top 5, I think LeBron's still better than him and Steph.
That's fair.
And I got Kawhi in the top 5, honestly.
That's fair.
But overall, I think the top 10 is right.
Those are the top 10. Yeah.
Kind of right. I think Dame's a top 10 player.
Dame just missed it at number 11.
Yeah, I think Dame could be. I would swap Dame and Anthony Davis, honestly, as far as with how he is on that list because he's at the bottom. But I think Dame's in the top 10. But I think overall, they chose the players that you're mainly going to hear. Luka, Embiid. Jokic won MVP. I still think Embiid's better than him. But yeah, that can go either way. They were 1-2 at MVP voting, so it's not saying anything crazy.
Right.
Some people feel James Harden is still top 5 or is top 5. I don't know if he was ever top 5, but some people think he's top 5. That 5th spot has always been open to me, well, at least over the last couple of years. I think KD is the best player in the league. I think LeBron is still second, but he has to show he's healthy this year, so I respect him not being second. I think Steph, after finishing top 3 in MVP last year, Steph is still the top 3 player in the NBA. Steph, KD, and LeBron are 1, 2, 3 for me. Like, I don't think it's really even a debate about those 3 being the top, except for if you want to bring up LeBron's injuries. 2 injuries out of the past 3 years he's missed. Those are his most missed games in the season. So that's relevant. I respect that. And I got Kawhi 4th still, so I think he's 4th best player in the NBA.
And like I said, that 5th spot.
Some people think Luka's top 5 though. Some people, listen, you're starting to get those. He's the best player in the league. People out there, he's not there, but Zach thinks that. Shout out to Zach from Off the Glass. He thinks Luka's the best player in the league, and he has a good reason why he thinks he's the best player in the league. I don't agree with it, but I get where he's going with it for sure. And it's people like that who, they think that about him because you see what he's doing. And he's really kind of just waiting on a team to catch up to him, honestly.
No, that's fair.
So, that's fair. Yeah, for sure.
No, definitely. Just I want to go over, just some interesting spots I thought up in here. Of course, Kyrie at number 19, coming off of course, I know the one thing they say, his availability at this point is questionable because Kyrie
at this point has always been questionable.
Oh no, yeah, definitely.
So with Anthony Davis, but he's a top 10 player.
Right. Kyrie coming off of 27, 90, 50, 40 year, you would expect him to be. That's the top 15 player, in my opinion. That's just me.
He averaged 27, and it's like really low key at this point because everybody talks about everything else. It's like you don't even realize he averaged 27 points last year. Like I said, while shooting 90, 50, 40. I think he's, because we talked about it earlier, which some of you will probably bring up, I think. But with Bradley Beal being 15th, and I think Kyrie's better than Brad. Right. I know we probably not gonna mention, but like Trey is at 17. Shout out Trey Young. Kyrie Irving's still better than Trey Young at this point. Right. But once you start getting to the availability, I get why you lean Trey Young too. Also.
And slap right in between Trey Young and Kyrie is Chris Paul, who
although top 20, top 20 players in the NBA still. Chris Paul?
Yeah, number 18.
Hype. He's not a top 20 player no more.
That's why I was like, and I get why because you see, he did help make Phoenix a championship contending team last year.
Chris Paul above Jaylen Brown?
Chris Paul is way above Jaylen Brown.
Yeah, Chris Paul is not better than Jaylen Brown. I hope that sounds controversial because I want it to. He's not better than Jaylen Brown.
Jaylen Brown is the number 27.
Yeah, so Chris Paul's like 10 players ahead of him. Yeah, I'm not feeling that. I'm not feeling that at all. Where is Jason Tatum on this list?
Number 13. Paul George.
All right, so 12. Dame is 11. Paul George is 12. 13, Tatum. 14 would be Jimmy Butler.
Yeah. I don't like that one either. I don't like
it. And I'll say my hot take for last year, I put myself on I put myself out there. I said that last year. I thought Jimmy Butler was a top 10 player. I definitely said that last year. But then he missed most of the season for different injuries and stuff like that. But when he was on the court, Miami won. So I don't know who I would take out the top 10 right now to put him in. I don't know if I think he's better than Jason Tatum anymore at this moment. But those people can go any kind of way. I'm surprised Paul George is in front of Jimmy Butler, and just off of reputation over the last couple of years.
That's fair.
Those people are interchangeable, except Dame. Dame should be in the top 10. I'm not even debating if Dame's. It's not 10 better people in the NBA than Dame. Argue with whoever you want. Those accolades that you're gonna say anybody else got, only Steph, LeBron, and KD got more rings than Dame. Everybody else losing the same. They go to the playoffs, get eliminated in the first or second round. Dame should be a top 10 player for sure.
I can respect that.
And Kyrie should be in the top 15. All right, my last question, because this is all random, probably not where you was going with.
No, you good.
But where's Zion on the list?
Number 20.
I'm not mad at it because the Pelicans were terrible, but Zion was amazing.
Zion's at number 20.
27 on 90% shooting. It felt like what he shot like 60% from the field last year, 70% from the field. Probably not 70, like 60%, but 27 points. But he got to turn some of that into win. It's not just on him, obviously. No, the Pelicans got to get better. Are they getting better right now? You lose Lonzo. You still got Brandon Ingram.
They traded for Giannis. Trade for everybody. So
bring Valanciunas. I haven't liked them keep trying. They did get Graham, and maybe he can have a resurgence this year. I don't like Zion with traditional centers it's not working. They started with Derek Favors, shout out Sticks, South Atlanta. Then they went Steven Adams. They made us think Steven Adams was terrible. Like, he looked really bad there last year. Steven Adams is a respectable player. So, but Valanciunas, I think, is the top 10 center. So he's more offensively gifted than both of the previous players. So maybe it works out. No. I like Zion at number 20. I am not mad at that. He could be lower,
but
definitely not higher.
Just coming off the season he had, it's respectable to put him at number 20. Yeah. Speaking of Zion, I'm actually glad you asked about him because, of course, in the Twitter streets, there's rumbling about how, of course, his family or his associates don't really want him in New Orleans. That was known draft night. Honestly, they didn't want him there.
Why not?
And now it was a bad franchise to go to.
Yeah, true.
Right. But then now there's the concerns that Zion and the organization aren't really seeing eye to eye either right now in his career, especially with switching coaches again. Like you said, the roster isn't really. I don't know who the roster is built around, honestly, because it isn't really built around Brandon Ingram and his skill set either.
It's really not. It's really not. Like, it's really not.
And then just the miscommunications, I guess, between him and David Griffin, GM, who isn't doing anything to make any of this better because he's firing the coaches and making these roster changes. We talk about this all the time. I know we spoke about it a little bit the other day on Hooper's Room about young players that just having them in these positions to where they see some functionality in a franchise. Not even if you're like winning and going to the playoffs, but just see that's what they're building to. Could you see Zion maybe not sign that extension and go somewhere else? I know it doesn't happen, but could you see people, maybe his people putting that in his ear, like, I know nobody's telling him because it's a bunch of money, but like, you don't know you ain't got to sign that extension, right?
Exactly. He's definitely gonna take the money. He's definitely gonna take the money because the new thing is you can take the money and then demand a trade. That's what the new thing is. But they tried to straighten it out, and they thought adding Griffin was gonna do that. I always thought he was overrated as a GM. Yeah. Like, he signed LeBron, basically did whatever LeBron told them to do. They won the championship, and he got a good amount of credit. I mean, he had to do some things to make it work, but he got a lot of credit for that.
For sure.
But he doesn't have a track record of. Somebody please correct me if I'm wrong, because if I'm dead wrong, I'll apologize. But I don't think he got a track record of building these winners that he kind of took that to New Orleans, and he just has said a lot of questionable things and done a lot of questionable things since he got there, to me, honestly. And even looking at, like, you're trying to build a competitive team, and they didn't sign Lonzo back. They traded Drew last year, who was a key piece to the Bucks win the championship when he could have been a key piece to y'all making the playoffs, but or whatever. But you do want to see it because Zion is such a just what the league is. Zion is a talent you can't lose because what the league is at right now. And I've even heard this with some rumblings with Luka in Dallas. Can't remember who part of listened to it on, but they were just talking about with just to lose and having the sense of urgency to try to put these guys on not even just competing for the playoff level, but championship level. Because it's like if you ain't competing for a championship by year 4, the players gonna demand they're gonna demand a trade. That's just what all the talks are. And but you do want to just see that you're building something stable. It's like even in OKC. OKC got so much going on right now, and they weren't good last year, but you know that just off of the tradition of the franchise, they got good people in front office. People respect Sam Presti. They know that he's going to try and make things happen. And New Orleans haven't proved that. And firing a coach a bunch of times early doesn't help. So, because this is, I mean, he didn't play much his rookie year, but this is already about to be Zion's third coach. So, just the stability helps build, success for the future, even if you don't make the playoffs your first year. Because truthfully, he is going to year 3, averaging 27, and they can be the sleeper team to make the playoff talks the last few years. This year is like the year you kind of, with young, touted players like Zion who come in with so much hype, people can give you a year or 2 to figure it out, but by year 3, it's like, all right, you need to make the playoffs for real. So I can see them kind of being on edge a little bit, like, all right, what we doing? Because, I mean, yeah, you did bring in Graham, but Graham would have looked better with Lonzo, honestly, than thinking Graham's just going to be your starting point guard.
Right.
So I don't really know what they're doing there. I think
they know what they're doing
there. Right. I don't think Zion is going to be the. I don't know Zion, so what the hell does it matter? But he seems like he likes being in New Orleans. And the potential of doing something there, because you don't have to just go to these major cities. Like, you could build something in whatever city you're in. It's good culture in New Orleans. There's good people there. They do have real fans that support them. And at the end of the day, fans want to support winners. I'm not mad at fans that don't want to show up for teams and franchises that's not building winners. Like, I'm paying my money to be here. The least y'all can do is compete hard, be stable, and we'll go from there. So you can't really get mad at fans if fans don't show up and your team not only sucks every year, but you're firing your coach every year. You're losing trainers, you're losing assistant coaches, losing these players, not even trying to sign back the young, because Lonzo is a young player. And although I'm not as high on Lonzo as others, I do think Lonzo is a starting point guard that fits well with your 2 best players. So it's like, how do you let him leave or whatever?
Right.
So you do got to show some stability. You do got to show Zion that him being there matters. His career matters. And I'm also on record a million times saying I think you got to take advantage of his prime, because I don't think his game just holds up that long. No disrespect, but you do got to take advantage of Zion averaging 28 on 80% shooting while you can.
No, facts. Those are definitely facts. And like I say, just building that stability and not firing coaches year in and year out, that does make a difference. And I'm not one of those people that think you can rush the process of building a championship team, because it does take time. But like I said, I go back to my original question: who is the team really built around? And I think that's the one thing that David Griffin needs to work on. Like,
right, and that's why you have a point guard like Lonzo, because I think in the half court they should be playing through Brandon Ingram because he's the better offensive player. But Zion is clearly the mega star, and probably potentially their best player. I mean, Brandon Ingram has the better offensive game, but Zion can give you 20. He's going to give you energy on defense. And then, I mean, just the box office factor matters also. He can handle the ball, enough pass. So he probably got more total complete skills than Brandon Ingram as far as when you want the whole player. But Brandon Ingram's just a better offensive player because he can shoot. You can go to him. So it's building around both of their skills, but having a point guard that can get them the ball and a big that can shoot and also can at least pass out of some doubles, that helps. So
right, sure.
Stability is the key there, though. I mean, it all starts with the coach with the right philosophy, but your own coach, your third coach, year 3, and it would suck too. Because now you got to kind of be thinking like, dang, do we want to get rid of David Griffin? But if you fire him, they're like, oh, here they go, fire the GM again. But it's probably the right thing to do.
It absolutely, at this point.
But you're probably kind of scared to do it because it's like, oh, they're going to think weird. But I think the key to that is having a conversation with Zion, too. I'm all for talking to your best players. I don't think you got to take direction from them. But it's a partnership at the end of the day. So I do think they should talk to Zion and Brandon Ingram and be like, look, this is not working with the GM. We thinking of going these directions. Here are a few people we thinking about, a few people we could potentially get. Because even with a team that doesn't sign free agents, like somewhere like New Orleans, because small market and things like that, the few players that you will get, those vets that they need, they're going to go to stable teams.
Yeah.
So that helps.
No, for sure. Speaking of teams and firing GMs and coaches all the time, the Minnesota Timberwolves, 2 weeks before the training camp opens,
Timberwolves hour,
fires their president of basketball operations. There's been some rumors and speculations of why he's been fired. I don't really want to get into that. But I was telling you earlier, I think that the Minnesota Timberwolves are, for lack of a better word, cursed for just letting the Lakers leave and go there and just kind of getting rid of, not even just leaving, but just really getting rid of the Minneapolis Lakers history outside of their championships. Mm-hmm. And of course,
and Minnesota's a terrible city.
That is well.
It's a terrible city. It's terrible. This is one of those terrible cities.
That is well. But when you're a team like Minnesota who has what you think is 3 players who could be franchise pieces to help you get to that next level in Karl-Anthony Towns,
and that's 3 All-Stars.
Yeah, D'Angelo Russell and Anthony Edwards. Like I said, I'm not gonna get into the rumors of why he got fired, but what's really the plan right now?
Exactly. Because with those three players alone, of Cat and D'Lo alone, we're competing for the playoffs, right? Now you add Anthony Edwards and you see the kind of scorer he is, and that helps because D'Angelo Russell, like he's a shooter, he's a scorer, but he's really more of a facilitator. I don't see him as a high volume scorer. So to have someone out there that's like, yeah, he can go get us 25, and then you got Cat. Like Cat, skill wise, is the 3rd best center in the league, but with his production and what he's doing, competing for the playoffs and just seeming like if he wants it or not, you could say he's still top 5. Even with what we all think is lacking in Cat, I don't think you can find someone that's going to tell you he's not a top 5 center in the NBA. And really, I don't think you're going to find anyone that's going to say he's not a top 3. You know, you're going to have those few Rudy Gobert people, but Cat is a top 3 center in the NBA. He can do everything Embiid and Jokic could do, really. So it's like, what are you building around them? What's the direction that you're going in? And now those years are starting. Like, obviously, you just drafted Ant-Man last year. And, not that Cat and D'Angelo are old, but you get older every year. They've been in the league for some years now. And D'Angelo Russell has had his injuries. Karl-Anthony Towns has had things on his mental that he want to keep together, which why you can see why he would want to leave there and just go somewhere fresh. So it's like you got to be bringing in those vets that's going to help them win, because at this point, none of them have been in winning situations. Russell has made the playoffs once. Cat has made the playoff once. Anthony Edwards this is his 2nd year in the league. So you got to bring in some vets that's made the playoffs, and that's the goal of the team, is to make the playoffs, because you had 3 players at 3 key positions, and then not to mention Josh Okogie, who's a good 3-and-D player. Right. He plays for the Nigerian national team. He does well. And, when it's a matchup against one of those higher level players, Jimmy Butler, KD, Kawhi, LeBron, he's present in the game. You can depend on Josh. And he went to Georgia Tech. Shout out to him. Malik Beasley, he can get 20 points per game. He can be a 6th man of the year candidate, in my opinion. So it's like it's some talent there. You need the stability within the front office. Kind of the same thing in New Orleans. It's like the talent really is there. You add those pieces here or there to help get you over the top. Right. But if your front office don't got stability, and it's been that way since the owner. But I'll say this:
they do have new ownership.
I was gonna say they do have new ownership, and we're just gonna say maybe this is a case of usually new ownership do want their people in there. So maybe they finally just said, "Hey, let's just go ahead and do it." I know this is late coming to the season, right? Bad timing, but I'd rather do it now than not do it at all. Go ahead and do it, and then you go from there. The only thing is now you're probably going to go through half it, because when do you hire the new GM? Unless you already have somebody in mind that you can hire now. Because I know they upgraded the interim guy. Right. The assistant GM, he got upgraded. But is he going to be your interim? He got the interim tag. Is he going to be interim all year? So we'll see what happens.
Probably not, because is there even a GM you want to hire right now who you think helps fix this team this year? Because you still realistically.
What they got to do is offer Masai Ujiri $100 million. Make him richer than the richest GM ever, president of that. Like whatever the richest offer is, which he probably already got. Yeah. Triple it. He got 60. Right. Give him 260.
God dang. Now you gotta do something because you just gotta bring in, you gotta fix it. And just speaking
Timberwolves made the playoffs twice in the last like 20 years.
That's sad.
It's bad.
And they still made it more recently than the Sacramento Kings. I don't want to get in that. But
Yeah,
I want to get back into Karl Anthony Towns, who is also rumors and speculations that he's probably asked for a trade. And of course, Cat is on the record coming in the last season. Or was that at the end of the year saying, he's basically at that position as well where he's ready to make the playoffs and he's not worried about his own numbers anymore.
Yeah, I think that was the end of last year. Yeah.
And like you said, he does. He had a tough year this past year. A lot happened to him on his last 2 years. That's on his mental, so he could want a fresh start. But when it's at this point, I only want to speak on the Cat trade. If you're Minnesota, what are you trading? Like, what are you getting for Cat for? Because do you want to go OKC and just not know if you're gonna be bad, but let's just get these draft picks and hope it works out, or do you want to go for players who you still want to go for players like who can help?
Right, because of course that's what when this first came out, everyone immediately was, oh yeah, OKC, because OKC has all the assets. I personally think I say it over and over. I said it on the Hooper's Room the other day on the halftime app every Wednesday, 6 p.m. But I say it all the time. Having young players in winning situations, at least competing situations, helps. I just think trading him from all those picks and having Anthony Edwards on a losing team just isn't good. But at the same time, it's like, what player do you trade for to get the value of Cat? So you have to get creative there. But if I'm trading him, I want someone that's helping my team. More than likely, they trade him for assets. That's probably what's going to happen, but that's not what I would do.
Nah, fee, no assets. Because like you say,
you gotta give me an all-star, young all-star.
We've been in this position. Like we know what bad looks like. Like let's at least bring in players that can help us find some kind of culture that can lead to winning and whatnot.
Right.
But
I agree.
Like I said, I don't know if it's true or not because I've always seen those rumors about it. He's probably asked for it, but like I said, outside of what outside of the basketball things that happen, what really think you helped him get to this point or push him to this point where he might be asking for a trade?
Like I said, it's got to be the word of the day, I guess. But just the franchise not being stable, even going through those years with Tibbs, and they brought in a hard-nosed coach, and then that don't work because of dysfunction with Jimmy Butler. You've been there for years, and y'all, just been losing. And after a while, sometimes you just want something fresh. And then I don't know him personally, but the things that he have gone through personal, so it's like it's all tied to me being in Minnesota. So it could just be like, man, let me just get out of here, start somewhere new, and we can go from there, honestly.
Right.
But it's just a matter like Cat is a top 3 center. I mean, realistically, I don't know where he is on that list. But Cat, realistically, is it crazy to say he's a top 30 player? Is that crazy to say?
No, I mean, he's basically 25 and 12 every year.
Yeah, so like he's a top 30 player in the NBA. So it's like, what do you get back for Cat? Because the players that you probably want, you're not getting Bam, you're not getting Ayton. Maybe you can get like Pascal Siakam or something like that. But I don't know. So it'd be tough. But I can see why he would want to leave there. Then you look at the careers of players that do stay in those places with the dysfunction and how it typically doesn't work out for them. I mean, he played with KG, so you see what he went through there. You don't want to be that.
No, definitely. Before we get out of here, I have seen something that might make sense in a trade for John Wall, and it might help this team as well because, of course, they still need point guard help, and that's the Clippers. And, of course, we know Kawhi is probably going to be out for – I don't know how long, but he is going to be out for a chunk of the season. If the Clippers could get John Wall and pair him up with Paul George at the minimum right now, does that hold them afloat and maybe keep them to Kawhi, maybe keep them in that home court advantage range?
Yeah, for sure. I think if they're able to get John Wall, and I think John Wall's going to have a good year this year because he looked good when he was on the court last year. You can't look at last year and him missing time last year saying that he's going to be injury prone because this is his first year back from missing 2 years. So you should have expected him to miss games last year. Even with KD, like KD's going to be much better this year than he was last year. Just look at him once he came back at the end of the season. He kind of got through the first year's bruises and bumps. So you add John Wall to this team, that's someone that can get and he's a distributor. If you don't recognize, go back and watch. Go back and look at the tapes. Go back and look at the highlights. Go back and look at the stat standings. he was 9-10 assists a game. So to add a distributor to the team, he can help push the pace for them, but then he can play in half court. He'll be a good person to get the ball to Paul George. And I also think, just like any star player, especially in the last couple of years, and I ain't gonna say any because you do got those that compete really hard at all times on both sides. But John Wall he's a better defensive player than he gets credit for. It's just because at times he'll take possessions off. A lot of them do that, but he'll fit in well there defensively. And I think trying to want to win a championship, because if he goes to the Clippers, they're still gonna be thinking championship. I think that'll motivate him to the next level. Especially because he's gonna know that's where he's eating at now too, because he's not gonna provide what he's providing in the past offensively, but he still averaged like 18 last year. So people talk about him being washed up, and they want to bring up his contract because people act like they don't recognize why he got the deal when he got it, and I always hate when that becomes a conversation. Like John Wall was competing as a top 5 point guard when he got his deal. He earned his money. He got hurt. It is what it is, and while getting hurt, you still can't find me point guards that average his numbers last year in the NBA because they don't just grow on trees. So he definitely helps the Clippers. And then once you get Kawhi back, that helps him get in a rhythm. And then he doesn't really take away from what Kawhi does. So I think they're still right in it.
For sure. But I think we want to end it right there. Although I do have one last thought. I don't know if you saw it or knew. But happy belated birthday to Brandon Jennings. It was yesterday.
Shout out to my boy Brandon Jennings.
Brandon Jennings,
2008. That's my guy.
Brandon Jennings still probably has one of the top 3 high school mixtapes. That last one, right before he transferred from Oak Hill.
Yeah.
So he had all the dunks and the crossovers in it. Was Brandon Jennings Kyrie without a jump shot? Because I don't care what nobody say. Y'all can put up them clips of him making shots. We all know Brandon.
Yeah, Brandon's not a jump shooter. He's just a basketball player. Definitely, Brandon. He dropped. I remember him dropping to 55 his rookie year. He followed the trend that a lot of players are doing nowadays, and he actually was going to go to school. Started the trend. Excuse me, I say he followed the trend. He started the trend that a lot of people are following nowadays, going overseas. And I'll never forget his draft night. He didn't think he was going in the top 10, so he didn't show up. And then he went 10 to the Bucks. So he was in New York. So he pulled up. I'm going to get my hat. So definitely the handle, the passing though is what always stood out. He was such a passer. Like he was a real point guard. And he really just scored because he could. But he was a real point guard. He was fun to watch. Definitely was influenced by the street ball era because he really came up around the end one time, and then he always says how Nick Van Exel is his favorite point guard. Nick and Kenny Anderson, he loves those dudes, and you can see him in them holding it down for the lefties. So definitely happy birthday to Brandon Jennings. Top 2 mixtape all time, and it's not number 2.
Like him,
John Wall might be number 1. Actually,
Tyreek I think Tyreek Evans got a conversation for that too.
Tyreek's is nice also.
Showing off the long arm crossover.
Yeah, for sure.
But
never seen nobody even slap the ball, like slightly deflect the ball when Tyreek's dribbling. Like shout out Tyreek Evans.
High school don't even exist anymore.
Yeah.
But other than that, you got anything else for the people?
No, that's it for the day. Just as always appreciate the viewers. NBA season coming up soon. Can't wait for that to happen. A lot of players have already started their player-led mini camps. I think training camps for some start next week. I think the Hawks open training camp next week. If it's not next week, it's definitely the week after. We're getting ready for preseason and stuff. So a lot of cool NBA stuff coming up. NBA new season means a lot of new Hooper stuff. New conversations with old friends, new friends, everything.
Got some guests lined up for some stuff.
So definitely look forward to everything coming up. Like I said before, shout out to everyone that been tuning in with us on the halftime app. Every Wednesday we do the Hoopers room. Just by any Hooper we want to talk about. I think next week we're doing JJ Redick, celebrate his retirement. Shout out to JJ. We just did, who did we do this week? We did Paul Pierce this week, did The Truth this week, and that was a really good one. So shout out to the halftime app, Hoopers Room, every Wednesday, 6 p.m. Every Friday, Hoopers Morning Run. Off the Ball Network's Facebook page, the Hoopers YouTube page, Hoopers Twitter page. And speaking of YouTube, go to YouTube, subscribe to the Hoopers YouTube page. Just search the Hoopers Pod. we'll pop up on there. Every Monday and Friday, Nothing But Net radio channel through the Dash Radio app. Download the Dash Radio app. We on at 8 p.m. every Monday, every Friday. Check us out for the Hoopers Hour. And anywhere you get your podcast fix, search the Hoopers Pod, Spotify, Google, Apple, Pandora, iHeartRadio. Hopefully we can get that title deal soon. So we'll see.
For sure. And with that being said, I'm John W.
It's fresh. And
this was the Hoopers Morning Run.
All right, next week, players. Oh, before we go. 2-on-2 invitation still out, and I'm waiting on you, Nick Andre.